Yay. Good morning, good morning, good morning. I have my mason jar, my coffee. Life is good. La Bella Vita. Happy Thursday. It's our Friday. Because, it's how I roll. Hope everyone is well. We're cutting it close today. We just cut on like right at 10. Which is a little different. But, we'll deal. Let me switch out my coffee and my water here. I have it arranged the other way. I usually do it the other way. What's up, Karen? How are you? Let me grab a lens cloth here real quick before we start. I have a thing on my glasses. What's up, Statutory? How are you? I hope everyone is doing well. All right, that's better. Sorry about that. I just noticed I had a thing on my glasses. Let's see. What's up, Frederick? Slow news day. This didn't show up on YouTube's front page for me. Had to go to your channel. Lame, but thanks for coming. What's up, Keen? What's up, Rochelle? I guess a bunch of people weren't getting notifications today. Thank you for letting me know. What's up, Dan? What's up, Spindlin? What's up, Jinxana? What's up, Hobo Rody? What's up, Susan? What's up, Jesus? What's up, Daniel? YouTube has changed things again. What's up, Tim? Excuse me. What's up, Moose Gal? What's up, Calendria? Thank you for stopping by on your lunch break. That's groovy. What's up, Wyman? What's up, Doug? What's up, Kyle? What's up, Gary? What's up, Mizzy? Lucy for Congress. Lucy! She just perked up when I said her name. But she's kind of resting. What's up, Lance? We're almost at the number, so we will go. What's up, my Russian compatriots? The Bernie rally was good. Damn, that's awesome. I'm bummed out I missed it. What's up, Peak Spitzels? Forsaken, I'm here for Lucy. Aren't we all? Honestly, that's why I'm here, too. It's Lucy's world. We're just living in it. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Get Your News On with Ron, the world's first viewer-curated streaming news show. I am Ron Placone, your host. This is how we do things. You guys send me stuff. We talk about it. The world keeps on spinning beautifully. Good to see everybody. Happy Thursday. I hope you're all doing well. I hope you all have an exciting weekend plan because we don't do a Friday stream. So this is our last stream before the weekend. And yeah, I have a pretty cool weekend planned actually. So that's going to be fun. I hope you guys have a fun one as well. And let's dive right into it. So check this out, everybody. Check this out. I saw this morning. The Icelandic budget airline WOW Air ceases operations. Icelandic budget airline WOW Air says it has ceased operations, stranding passengers across two continents. All right, so the Icelandic budget airline WOW Air ceased operations on Thursday, stranding passengers across two countries. In a statement on its website, the airline, which had earlier suspended all its flights, told passengers there would be no further flights and advised them to check flights with other airlines for ways to reach their destination. The airline, founded by entrepreneur Scully Mogensen, began operations in 2012 and specialized in ultra-cheap flights between North America and Europe. I remember when WOW Air came to the States and everybody was all excited. They're like, we have a low-cost carrier similar to Ryanair now in the States. This is going to be so groovy. I was stoked about it. I never got to use WOW Air, and obviously I never will now. All right, let's see what else is going. Its bankruptcy comes after 6 months of turbulent negotiations, pun intended, complete with a little bit of cabin pressure to sell the low-cost carrier, first to its main rival and flagship carrier Icelandair, and later to Indigo Partners, an American company operating the airline Wizz. Because that's what you want when you Wizz. That's what you want when you think of air travel. You think just like a big stream of piss just going across the air. All right, what else? So the CEO goes, I will never forgive myself for not acting sooner. Mogensen said in a letter to employees Thursday, WOW was an incredible airline, and we were on path to do amazing things. Tourism is Iceland's largest industry, and WOW's disappearance is said to have an effect on this summer's high season. They could say, hey, we're getting rid of the airline. Wow. Hey, we're getting rid of the airline. Wow. We're getting rid of the airline. Wow. Any one of those things. Wow, airline. And this has been very difficult. I've seen things on Twitter. There's bands that spent their entire tour itinerary on on WOW Air. Like their entire itinerary was going to be via WOW Air. And they lost all that money. Because I've seen things on the blogosphere. People aren't always getting refunds in all the cases. In fact, I don't know who is and isn't getting refunds. This is breaking now. But some people aren't. And now they're stranded. And this kind of makes you think, gee, maybe completely deregulating the airlines and not making them follow any type of rules and procedures whatsoever wasn't a good thing. That maybe was bad. Maybe we shouldn't have done that. When you talk about air travel, when you're making the case for better policy that suits people, you can really make some connections, no pun intended, when you use air travel. You guys remember my story from Christmas Day? So Christmas Day, my fiance and I went to this, it was actually an IHOP. It was the only thing that was open on Christmas Day near us. So we went to our local IHOP for lunch because we had plans, but we didn't have them until dinner. And we had like no food in the house because we had this big blowout meal on Christmas Eve. You guys know I do the 7 fish thing. So we did that big thing on Christmas Eve. And Christmas Day, we didn't have any food in the house. So we had to go somewhere for lunch because we were like, we got to eat before dinner. So anyway, we're there and there's this guy there. And we start talking about the environmental issues. He noticed my hat, which was for the Prop G, which was a pot amendment. But we started talking about the environment. He was talking about how he's a big environmentalist because, like politics came up. And after he tells me he's a big environmentalist, he goes, by the way, I'm a Trump supporter, which was weird right there. That was very weird, going, hey, I'm a big environmentalist. I'm also a Trump supporter. That's like being like, hey, I'm a big vegan. I hunt rhinos for fun. Like it was just a weird that was where he went. But I said, okay, that's odd. I'm not sure I know how that adds up. And he expressed his frustration with the two-party system, which I understood that. I was like, well, I certainly share those frustrations with you. I don't think Trump's the answer. And he said, yeah, I thought Trump, I don't like Trump is what he said, but I kind of felt like, and I'm like, well, all right. So airlines came up. And he talked about how why don't we in the LA area utilize the other regional airports more? Like why don't we do more in Burbank? Why don't we do more in Ontario? Why don't we spread stuff out more? And I said, look, it's all about the profit margin. The airlines want to go where they can make the most money. There's no protections for consumers, so they can just kind of do whatever they want. And he goes, yeah, man, that's not right. And I'm like, don't you wish there was some more oversight on these airlines? And he goes, yeah. And I was like, what if we, as a city, could vote on how air travel is distributed? What if there was some city planning involved and what these airlines could do, and they had to report to the city? And he'd be like, that'd be awesome. And this is what I'm talking about, man. This is a common sense solution. This isn't a right wing or a left wing idea. And then I stopped him, and I was like, actually, buddy, I wasn't going to mention this, but since you brought it up, that's actually a very left wing idea, what I just threw at you. That's a very left wing idea. And we made a connection, if you will. And so, anyway, the complete deregulations of these airlines was not a good thing, because now you see stuff like this where they can just say, hey, we're out of business. Sorry. There should be some type of protection there where you have to honor every ticket that's been purchased within a certain amount of time. You know, I understand if someone has a ticket 6 months from now and the company goes belly up, you're like, hey, you're going to have to get a new flight. You have 6 months to do it. That's one thing. But leaving people stranded, literally stranded at the airport because you're just like, hey, our company's not a thing anymore, that shouldn't be allowed. That there should not be something that allows that to happen. There should be a protection in place that airlines are required to honor those flights. Or, you know, other airlines need to cooperate together to get these people to reach their destinations. And then they work it out, you know, making whoever whole, whichever company whole. But there should be a consumer protection that exceeds, you know, what the company is and isn't able to do. I mean, there should be some type of protectionary fund for a situation like this. The point is, the airlines are completely deregulated. They can do essentially whatever they want. And, I mean, we're regulated heavier than ever before. Passengers, a lot of regulation there. TSA cracking down more than ever before. But as far as what the airlines can actually do, they can do whatever they want. They report to nobody. That's why you see shittier service becoming the norm, more fees becoming the norm, because they cooperate with each other. So, WOW Air shouldn't be able to do this. Period. They should not be able to do this. People are literally stranded at airports. They're stuck at airports. There should be some type of oversight that something like this isn't permissible by law. Again, if you have a flight months from now, okay, you can, you know, get a refund, reschedule your flight. That's one thing. But you're at the airport. Hey, the airline's not a thing anymore. Gee, I guess I might want to go to the Chili's here at this gate because the airline I was flying isn't a thing anymore. That's a real thing that you would think if you were like on a flight with your buddies or something, and you go, hey, go check on the flight, and your buddy comes back, hey, turns out the airline we were gonna do not a thing. You would think your buddy was messing with you. You'd be like, shut up, man. What's the deal with the flight? Nope, that's a real thing that can happen. WOW Air. All right, I give that a sip of coffee, sir. A sip of coffee indeed. All right, so we talked about Article 13 earlier this week, and I said that I was going to look into some stuff for Article 13. You guys have tweeted me stuff, sent me videos. So here's a quick kind of update / first we're going to have a refresher on what's going on with Article 13, the controversial copyright law in the European Union. Okay, so quick refresher, what is Article 13? So we turn to the BBC. What is Article 13? The EU's Copyright Directive explained. All right. So Google has been particularly vocal about the proposed law, which it said could change the web as we know it. Article 13 of the EU Copyright Directive states services such as YouTube could be held responsible if their users upload copy-protected movies and music. In a few weeks, MEPs will vote to decide whether it becomes law. The EU last introduced new copyright laws in 2001. The EU says it wants to make copyright rules fit for the digital era, but not everyone agrees with the proposed changes. If the UK leaves the EU with a deal and the directive becomes law, it would apply to the UK during any transition period. So what is Article 13? Article 13 is the part of the new EU Copyright Directive that covers how online content sharing services should deal with copyright-protected content, such as television programs, movies, music. All right, it refers to services that primarily exist to give the public access to protected works and other protected subject matter uploaded by its users. So it's likely to cover services such as YouTube, Dailymotion, and SoundCloud. Here are the exemptions: nonprofit online encyclopedias, open source software, cloud storage services, online marketplace, communication services. So what does this say? Article 13, it is not, all right. It is Article 13 says content sharing services must license copyright protected material from the rights holders. If that is not possible, materials posted on the service, the company may be held liable unless it can demonstrate it made best efforts to get permission, it made best efforts to ensure that material specified by rights holders was not made available, it acted quickly to remove, there's the big one, it acted quickly to remove any infringing material of which it was made aware. These rules apply to the services that have been available in the EU for more than 3 years, or have an annual turnover of more than 10 million pounds. Or, excuse me, 10 million euro. Yeah, that's euro. I apologize. Or $11.2 million. Article 13 says it shall in no way affect legitimate uses, and people will be allowed to use bits of copyrighted protected material for the purpose of criticism, review, parody. All right. So that's similar to the copyright law here in the United States. In the United States, the copyright law is basically similar. I'm not fluent in the copyright law in the EU or in the UK or what the European Union, but it sounds like it's very similar. You are allowed to use some copyrighted material for the sake of criticism, for the sake of parody, and in the U.S. for the sake of education, and that falls under fair use. It sounds like in the European Union this is very similar, and those countries have similar copyright observations. So basically, you should be protected. Say you're showing a news clip, and you're giving commentary on it, or you're doing parody, or you're satirizing it. That should all be protected. But where does the red flag go up? Well, the red flag goes up because these services are being held liable now, like YouTube and organizations like that. They might just tear down stuff that uses any copywritten material whatsoever, even if it's fair use, because they're trying to just sort of practice the better safe than sorry way of doing things. And this is already happening, by the way. I mean, there have been content creators, I believe Mike Figueredo of the Humanist Report is one, who got a copyright strike for engaging in something that was clearly fair use. He was either engaging in commentary or something like that. I'm sure it was likely commentary because that's the type of content he does. I didn't see the content in question, but that's what he was likely doing. It fell under fair use, what he was doing. He got a strike anyway. So this is already happening. Something like this would just amplify that by a lot. So YouTube is already doing that to content creators just in the United States even. So if the EU, if this all goes through, that's going to be amplified by a lot. So again, it says it will no way affect legitimate uses. So criticism, review, parody, that's all protected, they say. But, even though that's there in verbiage, you don't know how this is going to be unrolled on the platform end, i.e. what YouTube and similar platforms are going to do. So that's the problem. All right. So let's go to an update for today. So here's some news. They've decided that memes are exempt. Article 13, memes exempt as EU backs controversial copyright law. Copyright laws, which critics say could change the internet, have been voted in by the European Parliament. The new rules, according to the controversial Article 13, will hold tech firms responsible for material posted without copyright permission. Sharing memes and GIFs will still be allowed under the new laws. Many musicians and creators say the legislation will compensate artists fairly, but others argue that it will destroy user-generated content. Copyright is the legal right that allows an artist to protect how their original work is used. Tech companies have argued that artists are already paid fairly under the current system. Well, that may or may not be true. Google said it would harm Europe's creative and digital industries. Well, that may also be true. All right. High-profile figures who have campaigned against the EU copyright directive include Wyclef Jean and web innovator Sir Tim Berners-Lee, while Debbie Harry and Sir Paul McCartney have been among its supporters. Paul McCartney, that's... I guess for Paul McCartney, maybe he is super, super sensitive for anything involving trademark or copyright or rights or publishing rights or anything like that because of what happened to him with Michael Jackson. When Michael Jackson outbid him for the Beatles catalog, do you guys remember when that happened? I guess maybe Paul McCartney is super sensitive to issues like that because of his own experience. So now if it's just like, this will help copyright holders, he's like, I'm for it. I mean, that's my guess. That's my speculation why Paul McCartney would be somebody in favor of this, because there are some concerns over this bill, as we've been pointing out. All right. So here's the two clauses that are causing the most controversy. These are Article 11 and Article 13. Article 11 states that search engines and news aggregate platforms should pay to use links from news websites. Article 13 holds larger tech companies responsible for material posted without a copyright license. Tech companies already remove music and videos which are copyrighted, but under the new laws, they will be more liable for any copyrighted content. So this means they're going to respond accordingly. This doesn't just mean if someone uploads a movie for no reason other than to share a free movie, it's going to be taken down. That's going to be taken down. But they're also going to be very careful with everything else, which means if you're a content creator on YouTube, you do news-related content, you reference copywritten materials to do what you do, they might be cracking down. So that includes people like me. That includes people like The Humanist Report, The Jimmy Dore Show, Nico House, Lee Camp. You get the idea. List goes on and on. Graham Elwood. So, Kim Iverson. You get the idea. But they're saying that memes are excluded. It was Article 13 which prompted fear over the future use of memes and GIFs, stills, animated, or short video clips that go viral, since they mainly rely on copyrighted scenes from TV and film. Critics claimed Article 13 would have made it nearly impossible to upload even the tiniest part of a copyrighted work to Facebook, YouTube, or any other site. However, specific tweaks to the law made earlier this year made memes safe for purposes of quotation, criticism, review, character, parody, and parody. The European Parliament said that memes would be specifically included from the directive, although it was unclear how tech firms would be able to force that rule with a blanket filter. Here's the deal. They probably wouldn't have a blanket filter. That's the situation here. That's the concern here. You know, in verbiage, this law sounds okay. They're like, hey, if you're engaging in commentary or criticism or parody, that's all protected. That's different. You're creating your own creation in that point. That's protected under copyright law. U.S. copyright law refers that to fair use. I don't know if they use the same terminology in other countries, but, you know, the term you hear applied to that is fair use. So, and also, you know, memes are exempt. So in verbiage, this all sounds okay. Protecting copyright holders, they should be protected. Totally. I'm all for that. But it's kind of stating this line of protecting creators and copyright holders while also allowing the creative marketplace of ideas to flourish and not be stifled and censored unnecessarily. So in verbiage, this thing sounds okay, but when you kind of take it a step further and think, how will this be unrolled? Because they're holding these tech companies accountable now, well, these tech companies likely will overreach to protect themselves. They'll likely over-censor, over-remove to protect themselves. Because, you know, let's be honest, these big tech companies, they don't really care about freedom of information or free speech, even in most cases. They just want to protect their bottom line. That's priority number one. This is about money. So if they have to take down a bunch of material and content that is fair use, if they have to do that to protect themselves, they're willing to do that. I mean, they've already demonstrated that, and with this bill, that's just going to be amplified by a lot. All right, so let's see what else there is to this article. So, massive blow. Robert Ashcroft, a chief executive of PRS for Music, which collects which collects royalties from music artists, welcomed the directive as a massive step forward for consumers and creatives. It's about making sure that ordinary people can upload videos and music to platforms like YouTube without being held liable for copyright. That responsibility will henceforth be transferred to the platforms, he said. However, the campaign group Open Knowledge International described it as a massive blow for the internet. We now risk the creation of a more closed society at the very time we should be using digital advances to build a more open world where knowledge creates power for the many, not the few. I think that kind of summarizes it. Well, Article 13, here's another thing that... So Kathy Berry, the senior lawyer at Linklaters, said more detail was required about how Article 13 would be enforced exactly. While Article 13 may have noble aims, in its current form it functions as little more than a set of ideals, with very little guidance on exactly which service providers will be caught by it or what steps will be sufficient to comply. European Parliament Rapporteur Axel Voss said the legislation was designed to protect people's livelihoods. Well, it could also destroy people's livelihoods. That's the problem. This directive is an important step towards collecting a situation which has allowed a few companies to earn huge sums of money without properly remunerating the thousands of creatives and journalists whose work they depend on. It helps make the internet ready for the future, a space which benefits everyone, not only a powerful few. So, obviously, I'm all about copyright holders getting their fair share. Of course I'm for that. As a content creator myself, I'm 110% for that, in every circumstance. Musicians have been screwed royally since day one, in particular. And the streaming services screw over musicians constantly, all the time. They earn pennies on the dollar for their music. However, an article like this, it goes into this gray area where they will be over-censoring content that is fair use, that is essential to the news discussion in the world sphere. Those are the concerns here, and those are very valid concerns. So the question becomes, well, how do we properly compensate everybody while also trying to avoid a situation like this from happening where the internet is being over-censored? And I think that this bill falls short of it. I think there are way too many red flags here concerning this bill. And maybe it is noble in nature. You know, again, the verbiage of it is okay, but the idea that you're holding these tech companies liable, and there's no procedural guidance as to how these tech companies need to oversee all of this. Now, if they had a clause in there that said there will also be penalties, you know, here's what I would like to see, because, you know, I'm not playing the violin for YouTube or any other company like that in this situation. What I would like to see is a clause in there that says if you remove content that is protected speech, that is, or protected fair use speech in regards to copyright, if you do that, you also face a penalty. That's the solution I would like to see. You know, you face a penalty if you don't make a reasonable attempt. So if somebody's just uploading movies on YouTube, and that's violating copyright, and, you know, like, YouTube's got to remove that. I get that. I understand that. That's fine. And YouTube can now be held liable. And I'm just using YouTube as the example because it's the easiest one that comes to my mind. This stream is probably being throttled as we speak. But, you know, that's fine. However, let's not allow these tech companies to overreach just to protect themselves. So there should also be something in there. If Article 13 is concerned about protecting those who are engaging in criticism and commentary and satire and parody, everything that's protected under fair use, if you want to protect those people as well, which you should, there should be another clause in there that says, oh, and by the way, if you have a blatant negligent overreach, you could face a penalty as well. So if you're just gonna, you see any copyright material, you don't, you just blanket, give them a strike, take them down, tear them down, without any looking into, oh wait, this is a news and politics thing. Oh wait, this is commentary. Oh wait, this is satire. This is a parody. This is protected. This is okay. This is permissible because it's its own creation now. If you don't make a reasonable attempt to make sure that you're not taking down that content, you could also face a penalty. That's what I would like to see in this bill. That's what this bill needs to give people a little more peace of mind. But it doesn't have that. So that's what's at stake now, and this is moving forward. They're saying they're exempting memes. They're saying they're protecting content which is, criticism or commentary or parody or satire, which, protects most things that are fair use of copyright material, that protects the fair use. But it's up to these tech companies to abide by this and to protect themselves. So even if something's fair use, there's a good chance they're going to delete it anyway. And that's the problem. And they've already done stuff like this. So this is just going to amplify that. So this bill is not good. If there were certain other things in it, it could have the potential to be good. But right now, it ain't good. That's Article 13. All right. Going back stateside here, New York employers and schools could face a $250,000 fine for hair discrimination. The city has taken its first step in giving legal recourse to individuals who have been mistreated on the basis of their natural hair. New York City Commission on Human Rights has published a legal enforcement guidance that would make race discrimination on the basis of hair illegal. Under the new guidelines, the targeting of people based on their hair or hairstyle at work, school, or in public spaces will now have a penalty of up to $250,000. The Commission can also force internal policy changes of offending institutions. So the official document is called the New York City Human Rights Law, and it protects the rights of New Yorkers to maintain natural hair or hairstyles that are closely associated with their racial, ethnic, or cultural identities. Although an employer can enforce policies around maintaining a professional or work-appropriate appearance, they cannot enforce restrictions that target a specific hairstyle or hair texture. So policies that would be in violation of New York City's human rights law include policies that prohibit twists, locks, braids, cornrows, afros, bantu knots, or fades, which are commonly associated with black people. Violations also include requiring an employee to alter the state of their hair to conform to specific standards, including having to straighten their hair or use chemicals. In addition, the legal guidelines address the wrongful implementation of policies prohibiting certain hairstyles to promote a certain corporate image because of a customer preference or under the guise of speculative health or safety concerns. In cases where there is a legitimate health or safety concern, alternatives to a ban or restriction such as head coverings, nets, or hair ties should be used. So the guidelines were created following investigation after workers at two Bronx businesses, a medical facility in Morris Park and a nonprofit in Morrisania, as well as workers in Queens, filed complaints against their employers. According to the complaints, employees were asked to alter their natural hairstyle to fit a company preference or image. The complaints were on the basis of the company imposing appearance requirements in a discriminatory manner. All right. I think that's good policy. Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Good for New York. Good for New York for doing this. So there you go. Speaking of people I'm not happy for, Betsy DeVos. Trump administration scrambles to defend the budget cut for Special Olympics. The Trump administration faced withering attacks and bipartisan pushback as it scrambled Wednesday to defend its proposal to kill federal funding for Special Olympics. Betsy DeVos. Betsy DeVos is the type of person the only time she can experience joy is if she's handing out a detention slip to somebody. So she is that type of personality. All right, so President Trump's budget plan slashes programs of all stripes, but the idea of cutting federal support for a beloved organization generated outrage far and wide. The issue came up at a House hearing on Tuesday, and by Wednesday afternoon, prominent GOP lawmakers were vowing to protect the $17.6 million for Special Olympics, which gives people with intellectual disabilities the chance to compete in a range of athletic contests. Is that... So people say intellectual disabilities. All right. Trump's proposed 2020 budget marked the third year that Education Secretary Betsy DeVos has proposed the cut. She really has it out for the Special Olympics for some reason. But as word spread following Tuesday's hearing, attacks poured in from Capitol Hill, the presidential campaign, and Twitter. All right, so here's what Betsy DeVos says. The Special Olympics is not a federal program. It's a private organization. I love its work, and I have personally supported its mission, she said in a statement. I love it so much, I want to take money away from it every opportunity I get. There are dozens of worthy nonprofits, DeVos says, that support students and adults with disabilities that don't get a dime of federal grant money. But given our current budget realities, the federal government cannot fund every worthy program, particularly ones that enjoy robust support from private donations. So Betsy DeVos's response was, well, we can't possibly afford this. We need more money for bombs. And other people give money. So let's just let the private market handle it. That's amazing when you have a job in government and you don't want to govern or you don't want to do what government's supposed to do. That's amazing. But the United States gets away with it all the time. How often? All the time. Why? Because we have two right-wing parties. So when you have two right-wing parties, one can just go so crazy far to the right. Again, I mean, maybe all Republicans are just people that don't want to, like, work hard at their job. They're like, hey, I'm for limited government, so I don't have to do anything. All right, so Trump and DeVos want to slash education. All right. So this is what Bernie Sanders said. Trump and DeVos want to slash education spending and defund the Special Olympics after giving tax breaks to the top 1%. Unbelievable. So Congress has repeatedly rejected Trump's request to kill the funding and instead has steadily increased the Special Olympics appropriation from $12.6 million in 2017 to $15.1 million in 2018 to $17.6 million this year. The proposal appeared dead again this year. Senator Roy Blunt of Missouri, the top Republican on the Senate panel that oversees appropriations for the Education Department, said in a statement that his chamber's bill will not cut the funding. And Betsy DeVos, cold and defeated, rode away on her broom and said she will live to fight another day. All right. So there's that. Here's something kind of disturbing. And this will be our last story for the week. Fourth Ripon student has cancer, and parents are demanding removal of the cell tower from the school. So this is in Ripon, California. The Ripon Unified School District said it is talking with a telecommunications company about moving a cellular phone tower from Weston Elementary School because of a public uproar over cancer cases at the campus. A fourth child who attends the school was diagnosed with cancer Friday. Some parents pulled their children from the school, and many came out in force to a Ripon School Board meeting Monday evening to demand action. In a prepared statement, Board President Kit Oss said tests done on the tower found it was operating normally within safety standards. Yeah, but how close is it? I think that's the problem. Monica Forelli, whose son was treated for brain cancer in 2017, said RUSD has cited an obsolete American Cancer Society study in keeping the tower in place since the controversy erupted 2 years ago. It is just denial. Richard Rex, whose family lives across the street from Weston School, said a bump appeared on his 11-year-old son's abdomen a month ago. 11 years old. And it's cancer. They found a tumor wrapped around his liver. 11 years old. Sheesh. Richard Rex says he's hearing different options for treating the cancer. They said they can shrink it and cut it out. They're also talking liver transplant. Oh, wow. 11 years old. In the statement, O said the school district sympathized with the families. The statement said the district has no out clause in the 25-year lease agreement with Sprint, the tower's owner. The district and Sprint will have to mutually agree to relocate the tower. So it's right in the middle. I mean, this is a picture. This cell phone tower is literally right in the middle of the school. I mean, any closer, it would be in a freaking classroom. Look at this. It's like right there. I don't know how that was allowed to happen in the first place. I mean, usually we do have some laws in place. It can only be so close to residencies. It can only be so close to schools. How was it allowed to be that close? In 4 cases of cancer, something is going on. The likely culprit, of course, being this cell tower. Something's up. 4 cases of cancer in elementary school children. And you got this cell tower in the middle. I mean, it's right in the middle. I mean, here, let's look again. It's right there. It is right there. And the school's not even getting much from Sprint for this. They're stuck in this contractual agreement. Let's see if Sprint said anything. Let's go back to the article. Did Sprint say anything? There's the Geico caveman. I'm looking to see if Sprint has said anything about this. Okay, here we go. Adrian Norton, representing Sprint, said the company's goal is providing wireless service that keeps businesses and residents connected in Ripon. Oh, and if a bunch of kids get cancer, I guess that's just the cost of doing business. Right, Sprint? Wow. When it comes to the deployment of network infrastructure, we always strive to achieve a win-win process with local municipalities and residents. We have been working with the community in Ripon to address their concerns. Wow, that's... What? We want a win-win, you know? Like, you can talk on the cell phone and a bunch of kids in the community don't get cancer. You know, win-win. We don't give cancer to children by having a tower pretty much in the middle of a school campus. How was that ever allowed? Like, it's right there. It's like, boom, middle of the campus. We were going to build it in the classroom. We thought that might be a bad idea. Instead, we moved it over a little bit, just in the middle. We strive for a win-win. Let's see if there's anything more to this. O said he would talk to an epidemiologist about the situation. So potential health effects from the electromagnetic fields emitted by transmission lines or cell towers have been debated for years. The National Cancer Institute cites studies that EMFs are a possible human carcinogen based on research looking at childhood leukemia. So these are children in this case. According to the Institute's website, however, no increased risks of brain tumors or other cancers were revealed by epidemiological studies in Europe. Yeah, but they found a connection, and now you have 4 kids that are getting cancer. So I think it's fair to say that this placement is not doing these kids any favors. And if you're finding these connections, there's going to be other connections as well. So, I mean, it's like right there. Like, it's just like right there. Let me see what you guys are saying. Dan says, I'll bet the cell tower is not indestructible. I mean, it's like right there. I mean, if it was like down the street or something, it's like right there. like it's just boom, right there. It's a weird story to end on, isn't it? That's a weird story to end on. And I apologize for that. That's just how it worked out. I usually try to end on something a little bit uplifting. I really hope the next generation of people in the future would look at these times like a joke, says Jennifer. I'm just cheering for the next generation of people, really. That's what I'm hoping for. The cell tower looks like a cool tetherball. I wish that's what it was. Tetherball is so much fun. That used to be one of my favorite things to play as a kid. I used to love tetherball. I was always bad at it because I'm a short guy. If you're short, it's always, because they would just... I'd be the person where it's like, don't go heavy, go high. Hit it high. Because I'm short, I couldn't reach it. But then what you do is you kind of use your body the best you can without getting too close to the pole, and then you stop the line, and then you try to unroll it. It's what you do. So tetherball. That'll be a subject for one of the lighter topics we do. Like what was your favorite recess game to play? For me, tetherball was up there for me, but I got to give the gold star to Foursquare. Actually, you know what? I take that back. Not Foursquare, because you know what? Foursquare sucked because only 4 people could play. Actually, what am I saying? Yeah, Foursquare sucked completely. I don't know why. My favorite thing is that we would play soccer, and I enjoyed that the most. Tetherball, I enjoy, but Foursquare, I actually don't like. I don't know why I said. I think it was just the first thing that came to mind. Kickball, Sam gives a shout out for kickball. That ruled. We didn't always do kickball at recess though. That we didn't have enough time to organize that. But Foursquare kind of sucked because it would just get clicky real quick. Like all the really athletic kids would. I'll tell you why I'm talking shit on Foursquare, Chris. I have a reason for this. All the super athletic kids, of which I was not one, they would do this thing where they would make sure they all got in, and then they would just kick out the new person. You know, they would make sure that they all got in and they're real good at sports, and then there'd be one person that wasn't good at sports, and they would just gang up on that person and get them out. Because the way Foursquare works is that, you know, you bounce it to the square, and if you miss it, you're out. And then someone else goes in that Foursquare. So it would just be 3 super athletic people, and they would just gang up on whoever the 4th person was. So that's why I don't like Foursquare. It could be a fun game. At times it was a fun game, but, you know, usually it wasn't. And, Brent, I'm guessing now that Ron was not picked first in dodgeball. No, I wasn't picked first. I wasn't picked last either, but I wasn't picked first. Were you picked first in dodgeball, Brent? Were you one of those people in Foursquare that ganged up on the 4th person? Do you long for those days? And hey, man, all power if you were. But yeah, Butts Up was fun. I don't know what that is. I smoke too much pot to remember Foursquare says free energy. My elementary school band Red Rover says Chris. Mine did too. Jilly, 7 Seconds in Heaven. That came later. I don't think we ever did. We never did that in recess. Not in my school. But Red Rover was also banned. And I don't really like dodgeball either. I wasn't picked first in dodgeball. I wasn't picked last either. Dodgeball could be kind of fun because there was that sort of camaraderie element when someone would catch the ball and everyone got back in. But I don't know. It's kind of like you're just dodging a ball. Dodgeball is cooler. You know when dodgeball is really fun, actually, is when you're like the last person left. Because then it's like, and you know you're going to lose, but it's kind of... Garden Gnome says, when I was really young, girls thought it was a game to go around kicking boys in the nuts. That sucked. That game never happened in my school, but I think that would be my least favorite game, too. Dear Ron Placone... Oh, I missed something. Oh, Marcia says, that isn't Foursquare's fault. I love Foursquare, which I played throughout elementary school, but that was back in the late 50s, early 60s. I'm just saying what would happen. Foursquare, yeah, it can be fun, but that was how it always unfolded. You must have went to a really cool school where everybody was just nice. Or maybe that didn't come till later, where the Foursquare conspiracies became a thing. If you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball. Oops, I just cited a copywritten movie. But I'm engaging in commentary, so it should be okay. Well, guys, we are totally out of time. Yeah. Guys, we are totally out of time. Thank you for being part of this. Sorry we ended on a weird story. That was a weird way to end. I apologize for that. But we spawned off on a fun conversation. about the games. We talked to Brett, gave a shout out to dodgeball. We had a fun conversation about dodgeball. We had a fun back and forth. All of us did. Marcia gives a shout out to Foursquare. Jilly gives a shout out to 7 Seconds in Heaven. Whoa. Let's keep it above the belt. But I remember that. I remember the first time I did that. I went into a closet with a girl that I was attracted to. She wasn't attracted to me. We went into the closet, and nothing happened for 7 seconds. That was my experience. Crushing it. Yeah. Kickball. People give a shout out to kickball. Kicking in the nuts. That was weird. I'm sorry for people that experienced that. I did not. But y'all are awesome. Thanks so much for being part of this. Tour dates, you know I got them. Graham Elwood and I are coming to Texas next month. Don't wait on getting your tickets, Texas. Get them. April 12th through 15th, we're coming to Fort Worth. We're coming to San Antonio. We're coming to Houston. We're coming to Austin. Grab those tickets at ronplacone.com. May, we're going to Salt Lake City and Boise. June, we're going to the East Coast, New York City, Baltimore, D.C., Philly, Boston. Boom. If you got an extra $1 a month, want to support this show on the sustainability end, please do consider becoming a patron. Patreon.com/ronplacone. You get a bunch of exclusive content, and you help me keep the show on the air. You help me build it. And please do like and share these videos. It's really helping me out. And yeah, New Mexico, I'm working on it. Chicago, stay tuned. Oregon, Northwest, we're coming. Definitely going to happen. And finally, Daniel gives a shout out to Kick the Can, which is a beautiful game. Deserves a shout out. Thank you so much for another amazing week of Get Your News On with Ron. We will be back next week. We don't have a show tomorrow, but the podcast comes out. So clips in the podcast come out tomorrow. And I'll be back on Monday for Music Monday. We'll have a lot of music to talk about. You know the drill. Thanks so much for being the best executive producers in the business. Have a great weekend. Peace.